So today we're going to start talking about the real research aspect of speech writing. So as you do research, most of you will do your research on the internet. Now, there may be a few of you that will actually go to the library and look things up, but for the most part, people do their research these days on the internet. So, what are you looking for when you start researching on the internet? The first place that I would suggest that you look for credible information online is to go through our school's library portal. The easiest way to find that is to just go to www.valenciacollege.edu, click on the quick links aspect. It's right there at the top of the page, and then you'll scroll down to library services. Now you can access online journals, online articles, online books, all of the resources that you would need to really have good credible information in your speech right there from the library portal. I strongly recommend this method because if it's on our school's library portal, that means that the librarians have already checked the credibility and the reliability of the sources on there. So you don't really have to go through any extra necessary steps in order to verify that that is a good source to use. So always start using our library portal. Now, if you are having trouble accessing it, then you can always go to the library and get assistance. Or you can exercise one of your other options. Most people will just go generally to a search engine such as Google or Yahoo or MSN and type in a Google search. Now, few tips for if you are going to do your research that way. If you, instead of using Google, you use Google Scholar, then again, this is almost like using our library portal where everything that you will see come up comes from a credible, documented source. So it's going to be journals and articles that are of good rapport, that have been peer reviewed, and that you can trust the information and the content that is in those sources. If you go a general search through any of those other search engines, you need to take an extra step and check things such as the web domain. So the web domain is what comes after the major part of the URL address. It's sort of right at the very end of the URL address. So for example, www.yahoo.com, the web domain is .com. So you would want to look more for .gov, which is a government website, .edu, which is an educational website, .org is usually pretty credible. That means an organization. All right, all of those web domains, they have to check and do cross-checks with who is publishing the information. If you go with a .com or a .ca or a .uk, those are very general. Also a .net. Those are all very general, and anybody can publish to those websites. So you would need to look at the information on the website and sort of really check for yourself to see whether or not that information is credible. How would you do that? You might need to check who the author of that information is. So clicking on the Contact Us or the About Us section on one of those websites would give you a better idea. If you are not able to figure out who published that website, that's usually a bad sign. That means they don't want to be identified or known. And that should be a red flag that the information on their website can't really be cited as credible or trustworthy. So I would stay away from websites such as that. The other thing you want to pay attention to is when you're doing a general website search, you want to stay away from maybe just that first, the first one or two or even three web results that show up. For example, if I go into google.com and I type in my topic of abortion, pros and cons, and I get a list of results. Those top three responses might not always be the best and most reliable ones, because web domains typically have, or these websites, these Google searches and Yahoo searches, they typically have something called paid placement. And that is where companies pay to have their website come up earlier in the list of results. So there's paid placement and there's paid inclusion. Those websites were able to afford to pay to be higher on or earlier on the list of results. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have more credible information. That just means that they could afford to pay Google or pay Yahoo. So don't just take those first couple of sites and think that those are the most well related to whatever you typed in. It could just be a factor of money. Also be aware of propaganda. Propaganda is any information that is very biased towards one side or the other. You want to stray away from that. You want to have as objective of a view in your sources as possible. Chapter 10 has a great checklist, and it also has some more details into what you can look for and how you can find credible information on the internet. Please make sure that you read through that chapter as you begin to do research for your second speech, the informative speech. Thank you.